Ooh, what's this? No Games with Gold announced video this month, but some kind of weird podcast. Yes, we're changing the format. Mostly because Jason's lazy and he moaned and moaned and moaned about doing all of the Games of Gold videos. So we've cut that. We've cut it. And what we're now doing is this podcast.
I'm not.
Me, Jason and Adam. Jesus, you're not.
Yes.
You're not doing this.
I'm not doing this. Too lazy.
Shut up. We're doing this. We're doing this. Right. So here's the plan. We are going to tell you what all of this month's Games with Gold are. Now, I realise it's a little bit late for this month. They've already been announced for well over a week. The plan is to get this out the Wednesday closest to the end of the month or the start of the next month. We failed that last week because Adam had this ridiculous excuse of, oh, I should probably look after me kids. What a monster, right? He's taken content from you people because he doesn't care. He's a monster, but we love him, so we're going to keep him around. So we are going to go over what this month's Games with Goals are, give a first impression. Mm-hmm. In future, we've already done all the videos for all the last month's Games of Gold, so in future what we'll be doing is we'll be going through all of the previous month's Games of Gold to give basically an opinion, little review on each one. We'll each have played all of those. Then we're going to talk about what games we've played throughout the month. Then we're going to talk about bollocks, and this is just take as long as it will take. I hope you enjoy. So, Jason, what are July's Games with Gold?
Well, let me tell you. They are Planet Alpha, Rock of Ages 3,
Ooh.
Conquer, Live and Reloaded,
Ooh.
and Midway Arcade Origins.
Wow.
Now,
It's a good crop.
It is a good crop. Now, the benefit of us doing this a little bit late this month is I've already played a little bit of Planet Alpha, so I can tell you some about that.
And me and Adam hadn't even looked them up.
No.
You wasn't meant to tell them that bit.
So what do you think it is?
Oh, damn.
What do you think it is so far from what you've learned?
What, Planet Alpha?
Yeah. I'll tell you what it is, but you tell me what you think it is.
Oh, well, it looks like a side-scrolling platformer with puzzle elements, and dear God, that art style is gorgeous. It looks right up my street. I was initially hoping it'd be a Metroidvania, because that is my absolute fucking jam, but it doesn't look like there's combat, so...
I don't think it is.
Yeah, I think it's just a puzzle platformer. Am I right?
You are pretty much right, yeah. I would say it...
Boom!
It is a going from left to right scrolling platformer. My complaint at the moment, I've done the first 3 levels. I don't know how many levels there are. It is quite slow going. There's not a lot of challenge. It is very beautiful to look at. So far, it took a while to do anything, from my opinion. The opening is quite slow and shuffling. It doesn't really tell you to do anything. It's not like a quick tutorial and you're off. So I was a bit disappointed in it, but I would describe it as, if you remember Limbo and Inside, and I really like those, and then we played Little Nightmares, and that was like a slightly less challenging, light version of that game. I see this as a slightly lighter version of that, so it's more pretty and beautiful. But at least now the puzzles are getting a little trickier as I'm going along, but they're really spacing out them if they are getting to a point of challenge, because it really is just hide from the guy for a bit and then go when you need to, which is a bit like Little Nightmares, really. But it's mainly run and jump and duck along very pretty things. I will just say one thing. There is a mechanic in it where you can change the time of day and go from day to night and that sort of thing. So far, I've not needed to use that. I have done it, but I don't know why I did it. I understand plants grow and different things change, but I haven't been stopped from going from left to right yet. So maybe I'll replay it and find hidden areas or something, but so far I don't know if I'm missing anything. Very pretty then.
So I watched the trailer and it looked like it was obviously trailer's going to be best bits, hooky.
Yeah.
But it looked like it was a lot of almost constant contextual storytelling, like Limbo and Little Nightmares.
Yeah,
Little Nightmare did. The surrounding and the environment is telling the story as opposed to cutscenes and specific walls of text.
Yeah. There's no cutscenes as far as I'm aware. It is just things happen in the background while you're doing things. You have to hide from certain things and run past certain things.
Is there a strong story element, or is it...
No, but I wouldn't say that about any other games I mentioned, really. There's kind of maybe there is one intended, but I think old like Limbo and everything, I think you kind of put your own interpretation on it anyway. So what I've seen is I think you're a Martian, I'm not sure. And
by the look of it.
You're just basically going along a landscape, and there are definitely either alien invaders or enemies from the planet, I don't know. I've heard there's different actual factions. So it could be that I'm downplaying this game, but my only complaint so far is that the challenge isn't very high. It's like an enjoyable little run through a nice area, but I just didn't find... If you're looking for a puzzle game, I don't think you're going to be that impressed with the first 3 levels.
I was hoping for a bit of a platforming challenge as well, and it sounds like I'm not going to be getting that either.
Not really. There was like 2 moments where I took an extra 5 seconds to work out what I needed to do. It's not really... Again, it could ramp up. I don't know. Some games do that, don't they? They're really slow to teach you the basics, and then they suddenly go, "Here's a killer thing." So it could go. I don't know how many levels there are, but if it turns out there's only 6 levels, then half of them just fly by.
You just walk through half of it, and then it's just suddenly exponentially ramps up its difficulty, so you can't even get like 5 steps in the next one.
I'm not saying it's not got difficult moments. There was one bit where I moved a block. And it kept blocking the enemy that was going. And anyway, it doesn't matter. So, but again, it was me thinking, well, is this the puzzle, or is this that I've put the block in the wrong place and I've caused myself more issues?
Okay.
It seems a bit like an indie game, is it?
I think it might be.
Oh, it's got indie written all over it, mate. Yeah.
Because I'm just looking at the developers. So the name of the game is Planet Alpha, and the developers are Planet Alpha.
Long list of games.
So it was released 4th September 2018, and the publishers are Team 17, which I've definitely heard of. So yeah.
Are you looking
Worms
forward
guys.
to it, Adam? After what I've said,
I want to be positive, and I want to say yes. I'm going to play this, and I'm going to love it. But looking at it,
it sounds like a man who wants desperately to say yes and is going to say no.
Yeah, basically. I'll definitely give it a go, because I mean it's free. Why the hell not?
Absolutely.
But,
you don't have to look forward to it to still enjoy it later.
True, it may surprise me, but I don't think this is up my alley. This isn't really my type of thing.
Well, should we move on to Rock of Ages 3? Make and break.
Yes.
Right, little lead in. Rock of Ages 2, I think, was available on Game Pass a long, long time ago. I downloaded it. It sat there waiting to be played.
We need to play that to get the story?
I don't think that's going to be needed, don't worry.
Keep up with the canon and lore?
I think that was called Bigger and Bolder or something. Bolder being with a U in it.
Delightful.
I know. Anyway, I downloaded that. It sat there waiting to be played for months on end. I never, ever touched it until I deleted it to make room for something else. It doesn't affect what this game's going to be like, but that's the style of how I play things. Anyway, this, as I understand it, is what is it? It's like a tower defense strategy and racing game. Apparently, it's a big boulder, maybe like
with a little bit of God Sim.
Maybe we could certainly construct some of the tracks. I think there's a 2-player aspect where you do build the track for the other person and possibly yourself as well. I don't know. There's a story mode. It's got it's quite humorous in the cutscenes. They're sort of definitely trying to do a bit of a Monty Python style animation. Again,
because I thought that was really kind of janky and off-putting when I first saw it, but by the end of the trailer, I'd quite warmed to it.
Oh, good. Unlike you did with that Russian dolls thing, then, which I thought was quite a nice stylistic choice, and you went, ugh!
I love that one. That was really good.
To this day.
With this one, I haven't played it. I don't know if it's my sort of thing or not. I tend to steer away from tower defense games. I'm quite happy to do a boulder running down a hill, avoiding obstacles, if that's the game. I'll give it a go, but I'm not really a Worms type of guy or a Lemmings, that sort of thing. So if it's a bit like that, then I might not go back after the first try. I'll give it a go, though.
Well, without your unnecessary and hideous attack on worms and lemmings, both of which are incredible.
Sorry, I did lay it on a
I
bit
mean,
thick
that was
there,
out of
didn't I?
nowhere. You're just passing down. You just stuck your hand out the window to slap on your way past. I actually completely agree with you. The bit that looks like Monkey Ball, I'm like, oh. Hell yeah, I love me some Monkey Ball. There's going to be a new Monkey Ball on the Switch, was announced at E3 quite recently, actually, which I'm very excited for. But yeah, the other aspects of it really aren't my cup of tea. I'll definitely play it. But yeah, bit more hesitant on that one.
Yeah,
Adam.
I'm not too. Yeah, I'm kind of with you guys on this one. I don't. Looking at the trailer, I'm with Sean. I'm not really a fan. As I say, I may change my mind. The artwork definitely reminds me of that. What was that game you just mentioned? I totally forgot.
The Russian Dolls.
Yes,
thing.
Russian Doll. Oh yeah, that Russian Doll thing. I love
It's called
that.
nesting or something,
What's
wasn't
it
it?
called?
Stacking.
It's like
Stacking. it's called.
stacking.
Yes, there you go. We're totally professional at this.
I quite enjoyed it.
Stacking, yeah, it looks like stacking, that kind of art style. I love that. So yeah, I'll definitely give it a go and see what it's about. In terms of how old it is, it's not that old at all. It's 9th of June 2020. It was
Oh shit!
yeah, published by Modest Games and developed by Ace Team.
Next.
Oh, next,
Next.
is Conquer,
Next.
live and reloaded. Go on,
I'm
Sean.
very familiar with Conquer. Do you want to give your thoughts first, Jason?
I'll
or
give
am
my
I
initial
just going to
thoughts.
steamroll this?
All right.
Go
Clearly,
ahead.
it's made by Rare. It's similar to Banjo-Kazooie
Yay!
looking, but I understand it's got more like of an adult humour. I've played the first 10 minutes or so. Oh, it's like, so I think this is like a correct me if I'm wrong. I think this is like a mashup, not a mashup, but a collection of games. Like it's got Bad Fur Day, which I think was the first game that came out, and then some of the other ones. There's some multiplayer involved as well. The bit I've played, I gotta be honest. I'm sorry, I'm being very negative today, but I got like a sense of like a 90s humour. I think it's come out in 2001, or the first game did anyway. Like lad humour. It's very the opening cutscene is him coming out of a pub, spewing up in the street, and then there's sort of a lot of meta jokes and that sort of thing about how to play the game and that sort of thing. I couldn't play it without kind of thinking of is it Poochie from The Simpsons? Like that, trying to be cool, that sort of thing. That's the impression I got of this squirrel. But I've only done like the first 10 minutes and I've not got anywhere really, so I'm not going to judge it yet. But it moved quite well. I didn't quite like the camera placement. It's a bit too high for my liking, but that's just the first game. What?
Now, your assessment
Yes.
is 100% correct.
good.
Basically, this game's entire selling point and its entire legacy and the reason it's so legendary is, oh shit, this has mild profanity, most of which I believe is crossed out so you don't actually hear it. Violence, and it's on a Nintendo. Oh, this is late 90s WWE, you know, what was that magazine everyone used to have? Was it FHM? You know, it's basically
That was the classy one. You're thinking of Loaded,
quote
I think.
unquote quote unquote adult, but it's actually aimed at about 15-year-old boys
Yeah.
who have no real sense of like the game is quite funny at points, and at other points, as you say, it's quite try hard. And I played this about 8 years ago and it had aged poorly, so I imagine it's aged even more poorly by this point. Like, there are some genuinely really funny moments, and I'm getting to it. All of you sitting there going, well, he can't say this because this thing. I'm getting to it. I'm going to walk around it a little bit. But
Get the full tour.
the movie parodies are... Yeah, the movie parodies range from what was hot in the late 90s and shit they remembered nostalgically from the late 70s to mid 80s, sorry. So you've got a bit of Jaws in there.
Well, there's
you've got a
definitely
bit of
Star
Aliens
Wars.
in there. You got a bit of Star Wars in there. There's a big bit where it just does The Matrix because that was super big at the time. But yeah, it's you can sense the entire ethos in the office, and you can't. I mean, you can look backwardly on it negatively, but they made this in the mid-90s, and it is very much a lads product of its time. It's kind of it's very much aimed at a teenage audience who wants the grown-up jokes but aren't sophisticated enough to think this is just quite puerile. It was great for its time, and I'm talking about the themes and the style and the humor here. We're not getting into the gameplay yet. That will come. But it does have one of the single goddamn funniest things I have ever seen in a video game. And if you don't want it spoiled, feel free to switch off now. But if you do know what's coming, say it with me. The Great Mighty Pooh. It has an opera singing giant turd for a boss that you fight by throwing toilet rolls while it sings a fucking operatic song at you, and it is one of the funniest things I've ever seen in a video game.
Okay.
I feel like
it is worth playing it for that alone.
If my mum saw me playing this game, she would just go, "That's just silly," and walk out.
Yeah.
It is incredibly silly, but it's incredibly funny. But
almost like the Christmas poop.
So yeah, Mr. Hanky. I first got this in the rare replay package, which I think is about 8 years old.
God, I've got that.
And yeah. Well, the version we're getting is actually a different version to that. I think.
Yeah,
it's
this is the reloaded version.
Yeah, I can't remember which version they ported, but anyway. But the bottom line with Conquer, the rest of the game is its incredible legendary name aside, it's actually not a particularly great game. Like, by the time you get to the third or fourth world, the war world, I was smashing my head like with the controls and the camera and how finicky everything was. Like from the start, this is Rare. They are the guys who made Banjo-Kazooie and Banjo-Tooie, which are unbelievable mascot platformers. This doesn't really control like them. It's not got evergreen controls. It's a bit tanky. The camera's always in a slightly awkward place. It's not bad. It's Rare making a platformer. It's still not bad until you get to some of the later stages and they try to implement mechanics they're not quite as proficient in. But yeah, I thought from largely the start, and definitely more and more as it went on, I thought the game controlled quite badly, and I nearly didn't finish it because of that. The Save It Private Ryan stage, the war stage, really is fucking god awful. But it's worth the play. If for nothing else, it's definitely worth the play for just to say you've seen Conquer, this game that was, it was limited release, and it was Nintendo finally allowing something adult on their console, and most importantly, to listen to the song of the Great Mighty Pooh.
Are you selling this as culturally relevant? Is this an art piece?
I was going to say,
no, it's very much is culturally relevant for the time. Nintendo didn't release games like this. Their working relationship with Nintendo, their working relationship was Rare was so tight that they actually allowed Rare the rope to make something like this, which I don't really think there's been anything like it on a Nintendo before. And Nintendo's always really weird because they do adult things in fits and starts, but there is nothing else like this on the N64, and it was Nintendo finally kind of getting the market. Well, they'd already lost out all the cool factor to the PlayStation and the discs and all the games that goes. So it finally felt like Nintendo making a statement of, we want to get rid of this this attitude that we're just for kids, even though they'd already released GoldenEye 007, which is a first-person shooter that made console first-person shooters good and viable. It is a cultural milestone, even if it's more of a footnote today. It's worth looking at. That's what I'm talking around and have been for like 8 minutes. Sorry. I had things to say. Adam, I'm going to throw it over to you, my friend.
No, yeah, I thought I'd let you go off on that one. You seem passionate. So, I mean, most of this has been said anyway, but it was 21st of June 2005 the reloaded version was released.
Yeah.
It was published by Xbox Game Studios, and as Jason mentioned, the developers was Rare.
Yeah, this would have been something they did relatively quickly after purchasing Rare, I imagine.
Yeah. It before Sean spoke his nice speech there, I was actually really looking forward to this. It reminded me of that kind of 3D world, as you mentioned, like Banjo and almost a little bit like Rayman, actually. Just that whole immersive world. But I'll definitely be giving it a play, and as Sean said, how can you not play it for the massive poo? I mean, come on, that's what a selling point. But yeah, Jason.
Okay. Well, I think.
Oh, just one last thing then. If you're not going to play it, if you can't be bothered, just seriously, YouTube, the Great Mighty Pooh song. It's on there. It's hilarious. I'm 41. I don't find fart jokes and shit jokes funny, but I still find that funny. I do. It's got googly eyes. It's amazing.
Anyway,
Jason. Yes,
I think that brings us to the last game of the month, which is obvious.
Oh, thank Christ
I
for
know.
that.
Unfortunately, that last game is 31 games, and it's the Midway Arcade Origins. Lots of classics. I've played them. You've played them.
Ahem.
Sorry, Sean, would you like to tell us what those classics are?
I am. I'm going to list them. I've got the list up here. It's alphabetical. Let me just have a quick read through them just to make sure none of them
No preparation.
are,
Go.
funny words I'm going to have to sit and think about how to pronounce. No, they look all right. So, Total Carnage, JPB, Arch Rival, Smash TV, Marble Madness, Super Off-Road Vindicators 2, Joust Defender, Gauntlet Bubbles, Joust Defender, Gauntlet Sequels, Tournament, Cyberball 2072. Satan's Hollow Pit, Fighter, Rubit, Tapper, Spy, Hunter, Ram, Pathway Hunter 2, Championship and Super Sprint, Rampage, Zybox 2, Bin, 720, Xenophobe, Sinister Wizard of War, Robotron 2084! Midway Arcade Origins, they're games from the 80s, you'll not beat them with ease. Midway Arcade Origins, they were hard and sucky to take all your money.
Poobin? Did you say Poobin?
I'm sure you did.
T-O-O-B-I-N.
I said Poobin. I'm still thinking about the massive poo from earlier. Okay.
If I'm not mistaken, that's like a water rafting game.
I've definitely played some of those before.
So, I'd like to point out something. Marble Madness Level 2 is one of my favourite pieces of video game music of all time. I actually have the NES version, which I've ripped from... I've emulated it, I've ripped it and put it on my phone in a loop. I love that piece of music.
Does that not mean if you play this game, you constantly think your phone's ringing? Or is it just music on your phone? It's not like your ringtone.
No,
right?
it's just in with all the songs.
Fine. Fair enough.
It'll come on my playlist every once in a while. Oh, this is a delight.
I hate that. When I put like a song I like as my alarm, and then you just end up hating that song. Anyway, carrying on.
It's not my alarm. It's just in my music
it's not your
playlist.
alarm. I'm just...
My alarm is actually the Death Egg Zone from Sonic and Knuckles. Dun 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 dun. That's my alarm.
I could have guessed
it's
that.
Awesome.
This looks like huge nostalgia fun.
Oh, definitely.
I'm definitely playing this. I mean,
yeah,
it's great. I mean, how can you not love all these arcade classics? But if you are interested, as I've said all the way through, this is November the 6th, 2012, and published by Warner Brothers Interactive Entertainment.
Woo-hoo.
Yeah, so I don't think there are any games here past the early 90s, but there's some absolute classics here, like Defender is an absolute legendary. It's the one where you can turn left and right, and there's just aliens all coming down. And they try to pick up the humans. You have to shoot them. That's a great one. The Gauntlet games are, I think they're procedurally generated, if I'm not mistaken.
They were, yeah.
But they're like hack and slash dungeon crawlers. Legendary things there. Joust. I mean, it's Joust. Everyone knows what Joust is. You basically fly around a screen, you pop the balloons. Marble Madness, I've already touched on. We all know what that is. Pit Fighter, legendary name. Actually, always was quite a shit game.
It's quite violent for the time.
Rampage. Yeah, Rampage, which is based on a movie starring The Rock, I believe. I think
that came first.
Saw
definitely.
that when they went back in time, and then they made it into a game. Robotron 2048 is an absolute classic. Where you just walk around the screen. It's almost a precursor to Smash TV, which is also on here. Smash TV is great because it's basically like a multi-direction dungeon crawler, procedurally generated shooter set in RoboCop and or The Running Man. They're not even remotely subtle about their influence.
I'd buy that for $1.
Sinistar, I'd buy that for $1. I've never figured out Sinistar. I've played it numerous times, and I always assume so Sinistar is somewhat like asteroids. There's loads of shit out in space, you shoot it. But after a certain amount of times, the Sinister, this giant planetoid, just comes at you. And I've never figured out what the actual point of the game is. I always try to kill it, and eventually it smashes me. So I don't know if the point is to do other shit and not be smashed by the Sinistar, or if you're supposed to be trying to kill the Sinistar. I've never figured that out because arcade games you don't make sense of the Sinistar. But arcade games don't have manuals, and I've probably played it on that on the Commodore 64.
In that case, what you're supposed to do is put more coins in. Do that.
Yeah, absolutely. Spy Hunter is, I believe, top-down racing. Well, not racing game, but it's like you have to track down the car and shoot it as the villains try to escape. What else do we know? I think that's it. Do I know Zybots? Zybots rings a bell.
I thought I did, but so I looked it up because I used to play a game which I used to call Lexibots or Sexy Bots in my local place, and I thought this was it, so I did look up a picture, and it isn't. So I'm quite annoyed, but maybe it isn't. My memory's wrong. But in my local leisure centre, I used to do like a little club on Saturdays. We all used to play Sexy Bots and have our chips. Little inside story of my life there.
Oh, very nice.
Go to leisure centre, have chips, and play arcades. Yeah, that's how you do it.
I used to go to a leisure centre on a Thursday. I think it's a Thursday or a Tuesday evening, and I know they had Street Fighter 2 because we all used to crowd around that. And I'm pretty sure they eventually got one of the Mortal Kombats. So that was where we spent all our coinage.
I think the ones that stand.
Adam, what's your favourite classic arcade game?
I really liked Marble Madness, actually.
Nice.
Yeah, I really
Jason?
like that one.
I don't know if you call it arcade game. Off of this list, the ones that stood out to me was like Gauntlet, Pit Fighter.
I just meant in general.
What I used to play a lot. I don't know anymore. It's been so long. Probably like Street Fighter or something with like a gun attachments or something. I used to play a lot of. The other game in the leisure centre was 1941, which I've mentioned before, which isn't a great game, I don't think.
Oh, yeah.
Just flying over things and shooting stuff. But I played a lot of it because it was one of the 3 games they had there. I think the other one was Operation Wolf. Played a lot of that.
Operation Wolf.
That had like
Nice.
a gun on the top, and it looked like a proper gun. So it's lots of fun to pretend you're actually shooting people to death.
I really liked Pac-Man
was
as well, actually.
No, well, I was going to say my probably all-time favourite, because it still holds up as a great game today, is the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles one, the old Konami one with 4 players.
Yeah.
But historically, it is the. I'm going to come straight out and say it. Fucking unfair, Pac-Land.
Pac-Land.
Which one is that?
It's hard. That's the 2D side scroller. That's quite a hard. then gets incredibly hard, then gets to a point where you need to waggle while you're going over water, and I don't think that actually works. I think it's doable because I've seen it done, but I think that's almost got like fruit machine logic of the game ticks over and goes, 1 in every 5 people can make this bit regardless of how hard they waggle. It's a con! It's a conspiracy! They're talking about microtransactions in games now. That's where it started.
Whenever I played the Pac-Man games, I was always like, I wish this was like 3D and like really immersive. And then all of a sudden they made it on the phone, didn't it? Well,
Pac-Mania.
Yeah, and then you could jump as well. Ooh. And then, of course, they made the ghost jump as well, which was a bastard.
I'll tell you how old I am. I had Pac-Man the board game. Which was...
Oh, wow.
I had that!
Yeah.
In fact, I have a copy that I bought about 5 years ago at a card sale as well.
So you'd lay out the little marbles. I've got to be honest, I've not thought about it until this moment, probably for 30-odd years. You'd lay out the little blue and white marbles, I think, and you'd have little ghosts. I think I made my own ghost, actually, out of like egg cup things at one point, to make more ghosts. I don't know, because that's what I'm like. Ooh. And you'd have like this plastic, Pac-Man that you'd sort of chomp, and it'd go with a little hole at the bottom. You'd chomp on the pills.
That's it.
That's all I remember. Forgot all about that. What happy... Look, the nostalgia this game is bringing us already. It's not even talking about that game. It's amazing.
I know, so it might not even be... I don't think it was on this, no. It wasn't. But whenever I went to a hotel, they would always have an arcade machine of Pac-Man. And I had to play it. So I couldn't walk past it and not play it. It's just like, I've got to play this.
I do love Pac-Man.
So, as I said at the start, what we're going to do as of next month is we're going to do the same thing where we announce all the games, and then we're going to go through the games that we've played and what our final thoughts on them, having, actually played them. So, I expect you to have completed all of the 31 Midway games, as well as the others, before we talk about them at the end of the month, guys. And you've got 3 weeks because we recorded this late.
This version is meant to save us work, right?
I'd like to remind you in the opening to this... in the opening to this episode, you said I was lazy. I've now got homework. So, as a quick reference then to last month, is of the 4 games that came out, if you remember what they are, did you have a favourite? It was Kingsburg, Shadows Awakening, Neo Geo, Battle Coliseum, and Injustice Gods Among Us. Adam, what's your favourite?
It's the Batman one.
Of course it is. I didn't need an answer from
I
you.
wouldn't have guessed that.
Just throw it in there.
Mine was Shadows Awakening. I went back to that and I thoroughly enjoyed that. I'm still playing it, actually.
I also went back to that one. Yeah,
I
thought it was quite a good game. So that's last month done.
I didn't like Kingsburg.
I liked it more than you did. I thought it was... I'm going to use that word again. It was fine. It's very pretty. I could pass some time doing it. I thought if you complained about that, I think you may have similar thoughts about Alpha Planet, whatever it's called, this month, because I think your arguments will still stand on that one from what I remember you saying. But ideally, I'm wrong. Because there's a lot
I'll give it a go,
going
but
for
I got that
Planet
feeling.
Alpha. It's just, I just felt it could be more challenging.
Yeah. Yeah, when I saw it, I was like, it did give me that Kingsburg vibe. I was just like, not for me. But I'll give it a go. I shall give it a go.
Yeah, my issue, I did go back to Kingsburg and I still... maybe it's me just not quite getting on with it, but I didn't feel that the controls were, or the physics perhaps, were quite as tight as I'd like.
Yeah, I forgot you said that. Yeah.
And it was something I couldn't get over in the end. Lovely looking game, and it's even weirdly a lovely controlling game, even though I had the problem that I had. It's just, maybe it's just not for me. I don't know. There was just something slightly off about it that I just couldn't. That I just couldn't get over or get past to enjoy it for what it was.
Nice.
So, anyone watching the football?
So,
That
no,
was an awkward silence.
you're aware of my lack of interest in football.
Yeah, but I have a lack of interest in football the majority of the time. I still do watch various England games when they're played, and I have watched most of 3 that have been played this year. I'm very much a sort of person who, if we lose, I say we, if they lose, if the team that's playing lose...
You're on the pitch, are you?
I am on the pitch, yeah. They don't like it. They say...
Centre half.
Streaking, obviously.
I'm the complete opposite of you guys then. I'm thoroughly...
Well, you watch all of the football, but not the England games. You hate England with a passion.
No, I watch them all, even the matches that aren't even involved in England. I'm thoroughly into my
Is
sport.
that...
Good.
I'll say, is that just an international football thing, or do you follow the Premier League or Champions League?
I follow the Premier League in terms of London sort of clubs. I'm kind of a London fan.
Well, all of them?
Yeah, I'm not really.
Yeah, London United. That's my favourite team.
Because most people who like a London
not
club
really...
don't like other London clubs, I've found. They're kind of
Yes,
against each
Yeah,
other.
my dad is an Arsenal fan, and he's very strong opinions about Tottenham.
Yeah, I'm slightly different.
Sorry to interrupt.
Most fans, I really like watching all the London teams do well. If it's a London against, so basically a derby,
Yeah.
I tend to have to side with my family, which is obviously also get in trouble, but they are Arsenal and West Ham, so yeah.
What if it's Arsenal versus West Ham? Is the entire family torn asunder?
Well, my dad used to play for West Ham, and all his brothers, all his brothers and my uncles are Arsenal. So there's lots of conversations. Let's just say that.
Just to clarify, he actually played. He's not one of these people that says, I had a trial. He actually played.
He actually played. He played for when he first joined, he was under 16s, and then he went up to play for Birmingham. He got brought by Birmingham. And then West Ham brought him back, I think it was a couple of years later. And then he played for the reserves, got the reserves through to the FA Cup final before... so this was back in the day, I should mention, where money was very limited. You didn't get a lot of money playing football back then. So my dad was really struggling. My nan was single parent, raising 4 kids. So he had to get another job, and the professional football wasn't paying enough. I think it was, I'm pretty sure he said £10. Now, I think that was a week. I'm pretty sure, back then. And that wasn't enough.
What's this, in the 70s?
Yeah,
1972
to 1973, he got offered a contract of £10 a week.
Wow.
Yeah, so it wasn't a great deal.
No.
He dropped down.
That's certainly not scaled to what people are paid today.
No,
West Ham.
Yeah, so he dropped down to semi-pro, where he played for Dagenham and Redbridge, and got paid, I think it was something like £5, but he could get a job as a stone restorer and earn himself an extra £35. So he was on £40. So yeah.
Well, I'd just like to point out that I don't like West Ham, and it's not because my dad's an Arsenal fan, it's because I prefer honey glazed.
Oh.
Oh.
I'm sorry.
Oh. So yeah, I have a very sporty background, so I'm kind of opposite from you guys.
I don't...
Are you Arsene Wenger? I have been meaning to ask you for a while.
It wouldn't
I'm
surprise
Arsene
me.
Wenger.
He's always coming out with these little... He just drops little things all the time. Oh, my dad used to play for West Ham. I was a body double for Ewan McGregor once. He's always dropping these little stories.
Yeah.
It's good conversation.
We might as well just go big. is our entire channel to you, Adam? Have you joined this because basically you're playing an elaborate game of Guess Who, and eventually it's going to be revealed that like you're this super like you're fucking George Clooney or something who is also a race car driver and an astronaut. Like,
damn, my secret's out.
God damn it!
You won, Sean. You won.
Yeah, you won, mate.
Guess Clooney.
No, nothing like that. I just think they're good conversation starters, which is why I never mentioned them before. Yeah, so you guys haven't been watching England then?
Little bits.
It's not my cup of tea. I can't pretend just because the punk of land I happen to be born on have assembled a team. I can't pretend to care about it.
Oh, I don't care. I mean, I will watch it and I'm like, I'd prefer that they won. I prefer they won as well as won. They won very fast and then they scored in the goal. But I would prefer they win. I do enjoy watching it, although football is quite often tedious, I think. It's lots of build up. Build up.
Are you one of these people that enjoyed the football going down a pub?
I have been. Sorry, this is me sounding. This is my. I'm going to be very middle class, and for me anyway. And I have been to a pub, and I have.
Some ruffian bumped into me, and I spilled my
and
tea.
Football was on. I have been invited to pubs when there was football being shown, and I will partake. I may have once worn a top which was not an England top, but fitted in with the general gist of it. No, I don't mind going along, but I don't. If I'm not one of these people, and I'm gonna, this might cause some ructions. Adam, your wife,
kicking off.
Your wife. On two occasions, I have been in a public place when England have been playing and been kicked out of that year's particular scenario.
Oh dear.
On both those occasions, she took it rather badly. One of which we were on holiday together. And actually, John was there as well that year. And it was me and Lisa and John and someone else. And yes, the two females there took the loss rather badly. And that was kind of night over. Everything we had planned was like, well, that's not happening now. We'd had our dinner, we'd watched the match, and suddenly we're going back and that's it. It's all over.
So you boys were out there and the women
Me
were
and
like...
John didn't give a...
Oh, come on the fucking football! Oh, for God's sakes, we're done!
Me and John didn't give a crap about the result. It was like, oh, okay, well, let's carry on with all our plans then. No, we're in a mood now. It's not happening. And I remember bowling once. I was with your wife's family, and we were all bowling. And David Beckham, I think, missed a penalty or something. There was lots of penalties going. It might have been the Gareth Southgate one. I don't remember. But at some point, we were all bowling, and we were kind of watching the football at the same time.
96, possibly.
And it could have been. And so England were out at that point, and the mood just went. And I can't be doing with that. I don't mind having a nice, let's support our boys and all this business. That's quite fun. But yeah, don't let it change your mood. Don't go and kick some German car in or something just because some other team has won. It's just, a nice bit of
just
to
clarify.
It's just a game.
Just to clarify, my wife didn't kick in.
No, she didn't. Sorry, those were not connected.
No, my wife is very passionate about things she's into, but that's all I'll say on that. Otherwise,
just to back away, it didn't ruin the entire evening. We did get things back on track, but yes, there was a serious lull for a while.
Yeah. They left the pub, and she still did show up to the church to marry Adam, but it was just a bit of a downer earlier in the day.
Yeah, no, my wife does get very passionate.
Yeah,
yes,
it wasn't just her. Don't worry. It's just compared to me, I think a lot of people took it badly. Is what I'm saying.
Oh, and just for reference,
I'll tell you what.
John was and still is in some respects a dino. If you've been with us this long,
Forever Dino.
Yes.
Yes. I would just like to add that, God, You should see me when Two-Face gets the upper hand in a Batman comic. I'm fucking throwing the page across the room. I'm swearing. I'm cursing America. Like, why would you do this to my boy? Oh, I do understand. Yeah. Oh, my God. When fucking Thanos won at the end of Infinity War, I spat on children. I cursed a blue streak. I'm not allowed back in Cineworld for the rest of my life. So I do understand the passion, boys.
God knows what happens when Moth, or whatever his name is, comes on the screen and loses.
Killer Moth.
Killer Moth, yeah.
Kill him off. Yeah, he's got to get into a fucking movie first. I don't think that's happening.
I want him to be in a movie, but I want him to be like... Do you remember, was it Amazing Spider-Man, when they had that Rhino one in it? I want him to be like that role, where he just sort of crops up twice in the film and he's never in it.
I would love that. That would be the perfect role for him. That was The Amazing Spider-Man 2.
Oh, okay.
Terrible film. But I loved that version of the Rhino. Not partially because fuck did I enjoy Paul Giamatti on screen. Mm-hmm. I don't think I ever saw him in a movie I didn't enjoy him in. He was in a movie... A friend of mine was just talking earlier today, actually, about a movie I saw called Shoot 'Em Up, which is... The entire premise is Clive Owen is sat looking miserable on a bench, and this, I think she's a pregnant woman, walks past, clearly distressed, and a couple of brokes follow her, and he just kind of goes, gets up, and then realises he has to murder an entire gang of people to protect this woman. It's amazing. And Paul Giamatti is the bad guy in there, and he's chewing more scenery than Shatner in a scene chewing contest, is what I was aiming for there. My God, it's amazing. So fun.
So that's football covered then.
Football, Paul Giamatti, like/dislike is covered. Games of Gold for this month is done. What else have you boys been playing? You been playing any games, or is it just football for you guys? What are you doing?
I'll get my bit out of the way quickly because it won't take long. The only other game I've played this month is Red Dead Redemption Online, just because it's my daily little ride around a prairie and feel good about myself.
Well, I've been playing a lot of Minecraft. I've been playing a lot of Shadows Awakening, as I've mentioned, and I've been playing a lot of Assassin's Creed Origins.
The Egyptian one.
Yeah, and I've just switched over to the next one, which
Odyssey.
Yes,
Greek
Odyssey.
one.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you. God, there's so many. So I've been playing that and getting very immersed in the character and all the goings on in Assassin's Creed.
I need to get back to the Odyssey one. I do get very immersed as well, like you, but that's the why I'm not doing it, because I know once I start playing, apart from the fact it's a big old world to get lost in, they're known for lots of pickups and things that happen every turn. So, yeah, it's one of those games that you start playing, I'll just do one more, and suddenly it's 4 a.m, and you've just done one more.
Oh, don't. I know what you mean. I had to actually switch off of Odyssey because there were so many little side quests and other things to do, and then in the Egyptian one, and all sort of the same sort of vibe. It's just so big and so immersive. You just get lost. You just really do get lost. But they are great games.
I know the rest of the world is way ahead of us, but are you excited for the Viking one, which came out like 6 months ago now or something?
I have it sitting in a plastic cover.
Oh,
so
really?
This is generally how my whole Assassin's Creed thing goes. So I get asked, like, for Christmas or birthdays or whatever, what games or what do you like, and all the blur. And my answer is always the next Assassin's Creed, because generally speaking, they've released one a year. So the problem is, it takes me longer than a year to complete one of the games, because I'm just so goddamn busy.
That's what happens when you have kids.
So,
get in the way.
Yeah, oh, it's like, yeah, go away, I'm playing, jeez. No, I'm not like that. So there's like always 2 or 3 games sitting in the drawer, neat in their plastic covers, not even touched. And I refuse to touch them until I'm ready to play them. Problem is, the world I'm in, because it's so immersive, and then all the DLCs come out, and all the, extra content, and this, that, the other, and in the end, I just have to stick to the main story, get the main story out the way, and then move on to the next one. I think at one point I was like 4 or 5 games behind, and I thought, oh, this is ridiculous, I've actually got to catch up. But, yeah. Sorry, my little rant.
It's not a rant. It's good.
Speaking of that kind of game, large open world, run about, do whatever you want. Breath of the Wild.
Oh my god!
About all I've been playing for the last month. I bought a Switch at Christmas, and it took me a little while to get around to Breath of the Wild because it felt like a summer game. It felt like a game to just once it starts getting hot out, I can go out, have a run, come back, and continue my run in digital form while also murdering moblins. So yeah, I've been playing that for the last month or so. I'm getting to the point now where I've got a load of there are 3 tiers of plot lines. I love the fact that your main objective is basically kill Ganon.
Yeah.
Do these 4 things that you must do before you can go kill Ganon.
Yeah.
All of which is a main plot line. And then that's pretty much all it tells you to do. So you remove one of those 4 things until you get to the one, which is kill Ganon. Then there's a second stage, second type, which is go do this, you'll get a proper reward, be it a heart container. It will help you get towards doing one of those things you need to do before you go to kill Ganon.
Yeah.
And then there's just the completely pointless shit where they'll give you some rupees or whatever, and which is also fun to just potter around and do. So I'm finally heading towards my last of the what they call the divine beasts.
Ooh,
so I'm heading towards that.
Yeah.
I finally got to the stage where I can set foot on the mountain without erupting into flame. So
yeah,
I think I can't have many of the Sheikah sites, the little underground dungeons to do. I can't have many of them left.
They're so handy well. Even if
absolutely.
you just go up to them just to unlock it, then you can fast travel to it. It's brilliant.
Yeah, that's what I've spent the bulk of my time doing. I love looking for them and then completing those little puzzles. And then I've got a couple of little. I think I've got 3 of the secondary tier quests left to do, and then I've got a bunch of the little stuff to do, and then I'll go beat up Ganon.
If you're interested in the actual story of it, a good little thing to collect is the memories, the memories of Zelda.
I'm about 2/3 of the way through that, so I will do that. I think that's one of the secondary quests things to do.
Yeah. That's
I've
really
still got a
good.
couple of them to find, but not a lot. So yeah, we're winding towards I reckon another couple of weeks and I'll have that beat. And then
such a good game. It's such a good game.
Oh, it's so good. It's everything. It's everything I like in that kind of game. The only thing that I find, I do think the weapons degrade a little bit too quickly. But other than that,
that does piss me off a bit.
Yeah, well, I'm now at such a level. I'm not, because everything levels kind of with you to a degree. I'm not one-shotting everything I find, but everything is having a weapon comparable to the one I lose, so it's not too annoying. Like in the early stage, you're like, "Oh shit, I've beaten this thing, and I've got this one great weapon. Oh, it's gone. Now I'm back to the really shitty weapons." So it's not such a problem anymore. I got the Master Sword really early on, comparatively, because I just stumbled upon it. I love just. It's getting a little less now because I've explored so much of the map. But I love just swanning around and then that blip blip Oh, there's something over there I can go look at. Oh, I've been distracted by something over there. Oh,
Have
I
you-
found a fairy thing. Oh, it's wonderful. It's
Have
so
you rebuilt
wonderful.
the village yet? That little village on the outcrop.
No, actually, I'd forgotten about buying the house, and I remembered it the weekend when I was playing. So I went and bought the house, and I know that's they've mentioned a thing about it, and I haven't gone back yet because I wanted to get into Death Mountain.
That's
So-
quite funny. That's quite a funny little.
Yeah,
It
I've
is-
still got that to do.
It's a little bit time consuming because a little bit laborious because you got to collect a load of stuff just to help the man rebuild this village. But
Oh, that's fine. If
But,
it's I have never sold. I've not sold a single thing I've collected in the entire game.
there you go. You'll be fine. Yeah.
So
Order.
I should have all the only thing I've done is I have upgraded pretty much all the armor I've got. So to the fairies.
Yes.
So I have lost a lot of flint and stuff like that. I sometimes hurt for that, but I've never sold anything because I haven't needed to.
Yeah. No, this I love that game. It's I've played all of the Zeldas all the way up through. They're all fantastic.
I've pre-ordered. I didn't play Skyward Sword on the Wii, so I've got that comes out on the Switch next week or the week after. So I've already pre-ordered that.
Yeah, that's really good. Yeah.
I do have Twilight Princess for my Wii, but I've never got around to playing it. I'm actually really, but Zelda is quite interesting because I didn't have any of the games growing up. So I first played Ocarina of Time. Probably the first Zelda game I played when it came out would have been Wind Waker on the GameCube.
Yeah.
And I pre-ordered that, and it came with a second disc with Ocarina of Time. So I played through Wind Waker, then Ocarina of Time, which is a fucking masterpiece.
Oh,
I
that's
actually
such a
really
good
like
game.
Wind Waker as well. And then with the NES Mini was the first time I had a friend who had a NES, but
Okay.
I'd never got anywhere near completing it. So I completed the first Legend of Zelda on that. I then got my SNES Mini and I did Link to the Past.
Yeah.
No, I didn't do Link to the Past. I've nearly done Link to the Past. I've got everything I need. I can't find my way through that fucking mountain to Ganon's Fort. I'm in the Dark World,
Yeah.
and I just can't find Ganon's Fort. And I meant to look up a map or something because I played it for about 5 hours and I kept coming out the same places. I was getting really annoyed. So there's obviously some little trick that I've just not figured out. But I've got
That's the one that was on the Game Boy, wasn't it? Link to the Past? Was that the
no.
Game Boy
That was
one?
the SNES one. Because I was going
That was the
to
SNES
say, I've also
one.
got. I've got Link's Awakening that I got a month or two ago as well, which is the Game Boy one that they remade for the
Link's
Switch.
Awakening. Yes, that's
So I'm playing Breath of the Wild now, but I've got another 2 Zelda games on my Switch to play. And I've got Twilight Princess on my Wii to play at some point. Everything will stop the second Metroid Dread comes out, because, dear God, they're my... I always want to say my knee-jerk is to say they're my favourite game. They're not my actual favourite game, but they are definitely top 10. And my entire top 10, with the exception of... probably the top 1 or 2 is a real fucking close race. I love Metroid games. I've actually played earlier this year. I got my old emulators out because you can't buy them. Because I bought a 2DS where you can play Game Boy Advance games. That's it. So I wanted to play Metroid Fusion, but I couldn't get a copy at any kind of sensible price, so I emulated that. That's a fucking masterpiece, and I thought, do you know what? I've never gone all the way through Zelda 2 on the original Game Boy, so I emulated that. That's a fucking masterpiece. Everyone knows Super Metroid is a fucking masterpiece. The original Metroid is a wonderful, wonderful game. I think sorely underrated. And again, my first forays into the series were the Metroid Prime games, and they're amongst my favourite games of all time as well. So everything stops for Metroid Dread. So excited.
Safe to say you like Metroid.
Fuck, I love Metroid. Everyone, if you've never played a Metroid game, just buy Metroid Dread when it comes out in October. I think it's October the 6th or October the 8th, something like that. You will, well, unless they've completely fucked it, there's no reason they should. You're in for an absolute joy, an absolute treat.
I do know that you've watched the latest Fast and Furious.
I did. Yes, I saw that last Thursday. Yeah, I normally go to cinema on Thursday.
What did you think?
It's all right. I'm not a Fast and the Furious fan in that I didn't see the one where the actor Paul Walker died.
Oh,
yeah. Everyone made a big deal about going to see that
joke.
because that was his farewell movie. And I was just like, oh, it's got Jason Statham, Vin Diesel and The Rock in it. I'm going to go watch that. I love Jason Statham, Vin Diesel and The Rock. They're three of my favourite people to see in movies. Yeah, I'm not a car guy. So what I thought the Fast and Furious was and what it started off as didn't really interest me. But I'll admit, I turned an eye when The Rock showed up in it, but I still have a look a bit about him and see the trailers. I'm like, oh, it's all cars and stuff like that. But when Jason Statham showed up, I'm like, well, I mean, I'm going to go watch it because it's got three of these guys. I'm like, this isn't about cars at all. Oh, they pretend it's about cars, but this is just a stupid action movie. I'm on board with this. And as we all know, I'm a bit of a wrestling fan, and it is what it is. It is what it is. I'm like somewhat of a... I like John Cena as a person and as a performer. Like, he's like The Rock. I still call him The Rock, even though he's Dwayne Johnson. And I'm only seeing John Cena when he's in movies, but I can really enjoy that. And so, yeah, I went to see The Fast and the Furious, or F9, and I had a good time. It's not what I'd call a good film, but it is what I'd call a fucking entertaining film.
It kind of... I put the Fast and Furious movies in the same sort of league as the James Bonds and that type of thing. Like, reality does not exist. It's the fantasy world of that type of movie or game or whatever it is. Like, if people are going to see Fast and Furious because they believe these cars can do these sorts of things, no, forget it. So I very much doubt two cars can pull a massive safe, I believe, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Around corners and still be attached to the cars, and yeah, okay, that's not happening. But if you're going there to like enjoy the film for what it is, it's fantasy. It is fantasy, and to enjoy the story and all the fantastic stunts and gravity-defying things that you see, then yeah, you'll absolutely love it.
Well, this, as I described, this one reminded me of a Saturday morning cartoon. It's just... There's nothing remotely complex in it. There's nothing of any particular depth. But, dear God, is it a feast for the eyes for like 2 hours. It's just fun.
Yeah. Almost like, was it the Coyote, where the mountain falls away, but his little bit of land still remains.
Like, did I don't want to spoil it, Adam. Did you see it?
I haven't.
Yeah.
I've seen lots of trailers, and I do want to see it, but yeah.
There's, like I say, it's so fun, but there is a bit at the end, and I'm not going to spoil it, but it's a bit from the trailer, and I thought I knew how it was going to go.
Right.
And it's so much more ridiculous, so much over the top, and it basically is a Wile E. Coyote joke. It has a punchline, and it made me laugh out loud. When like you're in the cinema and there's still not a lot of people back. Cinemas are still relatively quiet, but like there are loads of people, and they all did that intake of breath where they've seen something really cool happen, and I'm just like because it's so ridiculous, and I'm just having the best time, and yeah, it's like it's super fun. I can't recommend it highly enough. It's it's what I would call a 6 out of 10. But as me and Jason have argued many, many times, my scale of 1 to 10 is 5 is average. So 6 is fine for something like that. It was very enjoyable. You're not getting anything else out of it other than it's very enjoyable. But that's enough. That's more than enough.
Yeah, that's why you go cinema sometimes. So yeah.
Yeah,
I'm sitting here.
that's why I go to cinema most of the time.
I'm trying to work out what this thing at the end is, and because you mentioned Wile E. Coyote and that, all I'm imagining now is that The Rock paints a tunnel on a wall and a car drives through it.
No, but one of my favourite moments, like in that first Fast and the Furious movie I watched, basically The Rock gets injured by Jason Statham at the start, and it comes to the end, and like through the whole thing, they've got like this, they keep cutting back to The Rock. He's in hospital, he's really banged up, he's broken his arm, his little daughter's there, she's all sad, and it comes to the point of the big fight at the end, and The Rock gets up out of his hotel bed, right, his arm in a cast, flexes his arm until the cast comes off, hits it, and then the arm is fine, because that's how fucking healing works. That's how awesome that shit is. Love it. Loved it so much. He then next appears holding, like, a helicopter has had a minigun attached to it, and that has crashed, and the next time you see The Rock, there's all fire in the background. He walks out the fire holding this fucking minigun, shooting it at a building. Yeah. It's so ludicrous. It's great. It's fun. So much fun.
Yeah, totally. Jason, have you seen any of the Fast and Furious?
I saw the first one, and I don't know which one it was. I'm looking at a list of them now. It was one which I remember thinking, this is basically a Western with cars, because they were going across the Mexican. So anyone listening, it's the one where they drive through a tunnel. I think it was the Mexican border, or it might not be Mexico, but it gave that sort of flavour, let's say. And I remember just thinking, yeah, this is basically a sort of heisty. Obviously, it's all heisty films, really, or most of them. But I just thought this is a Western, just modern day Western. What it was, that particular one.
Was that probably number 6?
It could well have been
7,
6. I don't know. So you had Fast and Furious, which is the first one, which I think is the serious one. It's funny, but it's played straight. And then you've got Saints Row 2, and then you've got Saints Row 3, and then it just basically gets worse and worse and worse and more over the top.
I think you'll find the word is better.
Yeah. That's the drug running one, isn't it? Where they drive through the tunnels.
It probably is. I couldn't name what one it was. I don't know if The Rock was even in it. It might have been his first one. I don't know. You'll be pleased to know, Sean, that there is a Hobbs and Shaw sequel in the offing.
I know. I love Hobbs and Shaw. That is my favourite Fast and Furious movie because it doesn't even have the cars. It's got Idris Elba in a super suit. I mean, what's not to love?
I almost didn't watch that because it didn't have the rest of the cast in it. I thought it can't be a Fast and Furious film without the rest of the cast.
No, The Rock.
But I did watch it.
It's got the best ones.
The Rock flexed and that cast was blown asunder.
I did watch it, and it was a very good film. Very, very good film. My favourite bit actually in it is the bit where they're breaking out of prison, and there's like 2 doors to choose, and Jason Statham chooses the right one, The Rock chooses the other one, and The Rock's got one guy. He punches him,
one
and
fucking
like,
huge dude.
Yeah, and Jason Statham's got like a whole hallway full of guys, and The Rock's like, well, yeah, I've done mine.
Yeah, he stands there critiquing him and kind of acting forward and shit. It's so good.
Yeah, I love that bit. Yeah, really good film.
Also, I don't know if that's the first time she appeared, but that had like the perfect casting of Helen Mirren as Jason Statham and Luke Evans' mother. I mean, that's perfect. What is not to love about that?
I think she appeared in the one before that as the introduction, because the one before that was when Jason Statham first appeared.
Showed up.
Yeah, I believe so. Where he supposedly killed Han. But I believe Han turns up in the latest one.
I'm not going to give you spoilers. I'll just let you know that you'll be delighted.
I'm pretty sure I saw
it's really fun.
Photo. Yeah.
And here's a little heads up for everyone. There is a in the credits scene. And it is absolutely worth sitting there for like 3 or 4 minutes.
Ah, okay.
Porky Pig comes up and says, "That's all, folks." That's...
I'd love that.
No, but just on the subject of movies, I did see the Monster Hunter film.
Any good?
I really enjoy. Right now, let us start. But me and my friend have an on-running joke about Paul W.S. Anderson's Resident Evil series, in that we believe that at the end of every movie after the second one, Warner Brothers said, "Right, you need to end this off. Like, close it off, and he's like, yeah, no problem. Then leaves them from a massive cliffhanger, and they're like, I suppose we're going to have to do another one now. And he managed to eke this into like 8 movies. This one, this piss-taking bastard. Right, do you remember the original Mortal Kombat movie, the 1995 one? It kind of ends with Shao Kahn, like they fight Shang Tsung, they kill him, and then they're just kind of congratulating themselves, and Shao Kahn appears all big and massive, is like, now the real fight begins, and they all kind of like square up to him, and that's kind of where it cuts. And a lot of people didn't like that, because they're like, oh, it's obviously leading to a sequel. I'm like, well, no, this is a dumb action movie. They're just saying the fight's not over. I don't think that's bad. I don't think that's sequel baiting in a bad way. In the same way as at the end of the Super Mario Brothers movie, it all ends, and then it, like, Daisy rocks up with a flamethrower and Yoshi. You won't believe what's happened now. Like, I don't think that's bad sequel baiting. That's just giving, like, an amusing little kind of nod of, we know the Mario's adventures don't end there. It's just like there's a continuation. Yeah. Fucking Monster Hunter gives you half a movie. It literally ends. Like, they build up to this big battle, right? I'm not a Monster Hunter guy. I've not played them, so I apologise that I don't know the terms. I know they've all got special terms. But basically, they do a really fun way of starting really... Like, they start quite sensibly with one big monster and human weapons, and then they start moving on to big video game like looking weapons, and then the video game weapons have powers, and then there are more monsters, and it kind of expands from there until you've got fucking Ron Perlman with anime hair and a talking cat, and it's just absolutely beautiful. And anyway, so like it's all going to the point of, right, so we think the point is there's a breach between the human world and this world with monsters, and there's this big dark tower, and they go to attack the tower, and this fucking dragon shows up, right? So they go through a load of stuff, defeat the dragon, they start encroaching on the tower, right? And you're thinking, okay, now it's time for the big end of the finale. That's where it ends! And it's not just that that's where it ends. They start encroaching on the tower. A second, more armoured version of the dragon they've just fought showed up. The movie ends, right? It then goes through a bit of the credits. It then has the audacity... Right, so this movie has ended halfway through the movie. They then have the absolute audacity to do a cutscene of someone on top of the tower looking down at the battle, all shrouded in a hood. And it's like, you're taking the piss even more! You've basically just given the first little start to the next movie as well. You absolute piss-taking bastard! This is not a movie. This is very clearly half a movie, and you've got like, oh, Warner Brothers are going to have to make a sequel now. I've not given the third act. Bastard! Piss-taking bastards! And I admire him for it. I absolutely admire the spunk on that. That is insane. Ridiculous. The fucking audacity of this guy. But other than that, it's really fun. Like, it ain't gonna change your life. It's one of those movies that, like, I recognise enough video game tropes and a couple of anime tropes with the designs. I mean, anime Ron Perlman is the greatest thing in the world. That I had fun. It's not a great movie. It's not going to blow anyone's socks. I think if you're one of those people who are, like, into it, and you can't just switch off and just be like, okay, it's an interpretation. Well, let's put it this way. I imagine to Monster Hunter fans, this is what Gotham is like could be like to a guy like me. Like, I live and breathe Batman. I know so much about it. I have so much love for the law. And I could sit and watch Gotham and go, oh, why is the Penguin there fighting fucking Gord? Why is this not... And it's like, okay, let's see what you got. This is entertaining as fuck. There's a couple of things I recognise. They're doing fun things with it. I'm just going to sit back and have a good time. And I think that's the kind of movie Monster Hunter is.
Okay. I mean, you gave a couple of references there to big fighting sort of movies. I'm not a big fighting game person, so my knowledge on this is very limited. But what was the one with Jean-Claude Van Damme?
Street Fighter.
That was Street Fighter. Okay.
Yeah.
Everyone slated that, but I thought that was quite fun.
I mean,
it was a terrible movie.
It is an absolutely terrible movie, but it is a... Yeah, it's like the 1995 Mortal Kombat movie. That is my favourite... that is my favourite video game movie, and it's one of my guilty pleasure favourite films. It's complete shit, but fuck is it entertaining. It's unbelievably entertaining, and at the end of the day, that's all I want sometimes.
Yeah, exactly. Terrible film, but great entertainment. So yeah,
I've watched Mortal Kombat 1,000,000 times more than I've watched The Shape of Water. Now, I love The Shape of Water. That is an absolute masterpiece. It is thought-provoking. It's incredibly well-crafted. The sets, the detailing, the acting, the script, everything is incredible. However, if I'm a little bit tipsy, a couple hours to bed, I'm not putting on The Shape of Water. I'm putting on Mortal Kombat, and I'm laughing and shouting out loud, "Those were $500 sunglasses, asshole!" What are you going to do? There is space for all kind of movies. Not everything has to be great, but it can still be good.
Yeah, exactly. If you're listening to this, you can post your best movies down in the comments below. Why not?
What's your favourite video game movie?
Yeah, it'll be enjoyable to read and...
Yeah, I think probably the best made one is probably Tomb Raider, because that's actually quite a good movie.
Oh, I love Tomb Raider. Tomb Raider's great.
Yeah, we're talking about the 2018 reboot one, right? Not the Angelina Jolie
Croft
one, just to be very clear.
Yeah.
Yes, yeah. Although I did thoroughly enjoy the Angelina Jolie one for obvious reasons.
Fun story. I believe that is the only movie I've ever walked out of, and I actually walked out of it twice.
Really?
We went to see it because Chris Barry was in it, and we got to the bit where it's really early on. She goes to an auction wearing her leathers, and she slams her feet down on the chair, and I'm like, I hate this. I actively hate this. And I sat through until she was fighting rock monsters and the CGI was shit, and I went, guys, I'm going to the bar. And I smoked at the time. I went and had a cigarette. I went and had a beer. And I thought, okay, it might have got back in. I went back in and I watched, basically it must have been quite near the end, because she was opening some box and she saw her dad, and I was like, do you know what? I don't care if there's 10 minutes left. I'm out. I'm going back to the bar. And I've tried rewatching it once, and I didn't get any further than the auction scene. It's just like, nope, hate it.
For me, I enjoyed it for the fun of it. I often like films that are made from games, even if they're absolute garbage. If I'm a fan of the game, generally speaking, I'll sit through the movie. It's like
man. You and me need to go on an Uwe Boll marathon. I have seen far more of his video game movies than I have any right to have seen.
Well, I was just going to mention the Assassin's Creed movie. Everybody slated that. Like, I think it was like really highly slated in terms of critics, game score,
I think
everything.
Fairly.
Yeah, but because I'm such of an Assassin's Creed fan, and I knew what went into the Eagle dive stunt. The guy actually did that for real. I absolutely loved it. I absolutely loved it. I thought finally Assassin's Creed has come to the movie screen. Fucking fantastic. Absolute garbage. But
do you know what?
I loved it. Yeah.
there's one thing that is so memorable in that movie, and it's one of my favorite things. It's one of the biggest laugh out loud moments I've ever had in a movie where it's unintentional. So, like, it's almost a conceptual joke. So, the movie starts with Michael Fassbender's character, and he's a criminal. I don't know if he killed someone, but anyway, he gets captured and he's taken to this place, and basically this place is this weird kind of retreat, and there's all these other people they've taken, and then you're introduced to this big weird machine, and like it can see your ancestral past, and it's this whole complex, and like there's this guy and his daughter who, let's face it, they even got fucking the woman who played Talia to do Rachel Cool and Talia there. But they've got this whole fucking thing, and it's like this whole operation that's going on for centuries and centuries and centuries and centuries. And it's all to find this thing, this relic of God, this one amazing thing. And they've just got this riddle about it. And it's just this one incredible thing. And because the movie, like, I don't know what happened in the production, but basically, it's what, a 2-hour movie, and you've got an hour and a half of this movie that's building all of this lore and this incredible search. And the answer is not only, like, ridiculously obvious, like, someone Googling it could have got the answer to go to this particular fucking church, but literally it then cuts to Jeremy Irons standing there, and the priest just giving him the thing. And I'm like, do you not understand? Do you not understand the weight of the joke you have just told? Where you've just gone through centuries of these people looking through this thing, and it was so fucking easy. And then when you found it, the guy's just like, "Here you go, it's fair cop, you found it." Oh my god, I laughed and laughed and laughed to the point that I could barely breathe, and my friend is nudging me because there are other people in there, and I was like, I can't, and I had to go outside and stop laughing and come back in, and I was giggling through the rest of the movie. And it didn't help that Jeremy Irons then rocks up and gets magical powers for a bit and then is just stabbed. Like, oh my god, the unbelievable fail of that.
Basically,
I loved it. I loved that.
They did, in certain parts of it, they did huge effort, like the stunts and stuff like that. They did huge effort. But if they'd have just followed the games in terms of how they build the story, how hard it is to actually find the Apple of Eden, and the slow progress of it, they could have made and put actual effort into it, that they could have made all the movies, all the games into movies, essentially. But they didn't. They at some point they half-assed it, and I squeeze
honestly,
it all in.
I honestly wonder if, like, that was written to be a 3-hour movie, and then the studio is like, because I'm sure, like, this is in the back of my head, I'm sure, like, the budget got cut halfway through production or something.
Oh, okay.
I think I read that. I think basically it was, this is all good, this is going to be our tentpole thing. And then the studio just, like, I don't know if another video game movie failed and then the studio backed out on it, but I'm sure there's something like that about it, which is why the back end doesn't work anywhere near as well as it should. Because, that first hour, the first hour and a bit, I didn't think it was great, but it was quite competently done. And then it's all kind of like, well, there's that joke of a reveal, and then, like, get to the end.
So rushed.
Yeah, but
so rushed.
Yeah, so I think, I'm sure I actually read, but I think something must have gone down there that wasn't what they envisioned. Because, I mean, Michael Fassbender, he was talking it up like this was going to be the evolution of adapting this source to to film, and Michael Fassbender doesn't half-ass. I mean, he's played Magneto a shit ton, and there's probably a couple of times he could have half-assed, but he gives his whole ass in everything he does. I think he believed in the project, so I've got to assume that something went wrong somewhere along the line. It was probably the studios interfering somewhere.
I mean, that's
because
I've got to assume
as a Ubisoft thing, that's bound to. They've probably intended that to be a long-running franchise. They're all into multimedia, whatever, and getting everything on every platform. They would have wanted to get the basic story down and then spilled out into all these other films and stuff, and possibly even TV series. And even today, like with the whole Mandalorian setup, where they record it in front of the big screens and whatever. Ubisoft has that setup, kind of, and they can use their in-game engines. They've already got the world built. They could make anything they wanted, really. But I think it's just bad timing and probably lack of money at the time, as you say.
I mean, someone could easily pick up the Assassin's Creed series again and actually do it properly, and there would be an audience. There really would be. Because if they actually followed the movie, the Apple of Eden doesn't actually get found until like the fifth, or I think it's the fifth game, isn't it, Jay? The fifth, sixth game.
I've got to be honest, I'm not sure which. It definitely appears several times.
The third,
the first and the second.
He finds it in the third game, at the end of the third game, isn't it? But do
you mean Assassin's Creed 3 or the second Ezio one?
The Assassin's Creed 3, I believe. He actually finds it in the real world, but they don't actually physically have it in the first and second movie, or sorry, game. But they, but you do actually see it because they're tracking it in the past through the machine. That was the whole idea, like that they're trying to find where the Apple of Eden is, so it eventually appears near the end of the game, but within the machine, and then you go on tracking it again into the second one, and like the assassins are trying to find it, and then I forget their name now. The enemies,
Abstergo, the Templars.
Sturgo. They're trying to find it, and it's just this slow build of tracking it down through past and through history. But as I say, in the movie, something definitely went wrong because they built towards that. And then all of a sudden, we found it. It's great. End of.
I think that in the games, the main plot of the games is they've got a story set in the past, and that's your main bulk of the story per game, isn't it? And it's like you've just got the thing that carries it from game to game is the modern day stuff. I think that's good to carry people through, and certainly the people who are really into it, that's the kind of the story they're following. But it's a very slowly evolving story, that modern day one. It's just there to connect the games together.
As Ubisoft themselves said, when the second one was such a big hit, that bit was filler to keep people, because they thought that was the thing that kept people invested to keep coming back, and they'd never planned to end that story. They just planned to drag it on until no one bought them anymore, and then they were just going to tack on an ending.
I might be making this up, but I seem to remember the first game came out and they had this big mysterious ending, and that was a big reveal for me. It's like, and that did make me want to play the next one, because I was constantly in the modern day bit, probably a lot longer than you expected to be, just searching every little crevice, and I spent ages just trying to look out the window and see what the landscape looked like outside that place, and going through all the computer files. But I seem to remember that, so they had all this plot, and then I've got, maybe I'm completely wrong on this, but I heard basically the guy that kind of wrote it all then sort of left, so they had to reimagine what the overarching story was for the second one and the third one, because they did have one, but it was just gone because the guy left. That may not be true, but that's the story I heard.
Well, they've done well, because they hooked me in. That's for sure.
I think they just nicked all the fan theories, to be fair, and just put that together.
All right, well, does anyone have anything left to add? Because it's been about an hour and a half for the inaugural Iron Dinos podcast. We thought this was going to be about 20-25 minutes.
The initial bit was.
You know, I mean, let's face it. If you've enjoyed this and if you've listened to it all, you've got your money's worth because it's free, right? So
Yeah.
I hope people sit and listen to all of this, and I hope it's been enjoyed. Yeah. Any final thoughts, guys?
I got one. If you did get this far, please let us know in the comments by typing the word pineapple. Then we'll
Love
know,
it. Yes.
Then we definitely know you got this
We
far.
are so close on the same wavelength. I was thinking of a citrusy fruit myself as the word.
I don't know
Well,
why
funny enough,
pineapple. I like pineapple.
like a little peek behind the curtain here. Adam was a bit concerned because he doesn't listen to podcasts, and I follow the gaming guys called Vidiots, who became Triple Jump, but they still do their Vidiots podcast, and literally right at the end of it, they put in like a little question or something, and they ask people who've stayed to the end to tweet that bit to them to prove they've stayed to the end. So you've barely listened to a podcast, you don't know what they are, and you're seasoned pro already. Well done.
But if you've made it this far, actually no, not if you've made it this far. If you fast forwarded to this bit and you missed all the other bit, I want you to put the word blancmange. Okay.
Yeah, but don't spell
No.
it correctly, which is like
No,
blank
try and
mange.
spell it correctly.
We want
but
it to
don't look
be-
it up.
I want it to be like BLAMAIYGNEX, like that.
Spell it how it
I've
sounds.
got right. This is
there you go.
sorry, we're dragging this out a bit longer, but yeah, I only relatively recently saw the actual spelling of blancmange, and I was very let down.
It's the
and
name of
realised
an
it's-
80s band.
It basically means what? It's like French for white food or something, isn't it? Or that's what it appears to be now. It's just so
I think so.
disappointing.
Something on it. Yeah. It's like, oh.
Yeah.
It's like this fantastic.
No.
It's like this real fancy
Naked
word,
fish
and you
fingers.
find out the meaning. It's like, oh.
I mean, I could have gone with milk or something else, but whatever.
Okay, I think they listened to this rambling long enough. Let's finish it off here.
I might literally just cut it when Jason shouts naked fish fingers.
Why not?
Thank you for listening, everybody. If you didn't listen to it all, blancmange you. Goodbye.
Goodbye.
See you later.